Happy New Year, 2022. Wow, where did 2021 go? Feels like I've been living in my house for forever. Wow, so it's going to be an exciting year. Normally every week I give you my picks of the week and what I'm thinking about. Today's version is going to be much bigger picture. We're going to talk about our fearless forecast for 2022. And I've got my crystal ball here. It sits on top of my bull and bear. As you can see, sometimes it's a little foggy. Sometimes it turns me upside down there. And certainly 2021 was a bit of an upside down year when you think about it from an investment perspective. Who would have thought that the multiple would expand so much, earnings would grow? All the strategists got 2021 wrong, including ourselves. Now, we did feel that if the Fed kept pedal to the metal, equity markets would do quite well, and that is indeed how it played out. But I was overweight emerging markets, and that didn't work, and my high conviction pick on gold was a complete write-off. So here are some of the things I'm thinking about for 2022. This is a $5 million Yugoslavian dinar. Obviously, Yugoslavia doesn't exist anymore, but hyperinflation is not my forecast for the year. I do think, though, inflation's going to be a little bit stickier, and it's going to lead to some problems for the central banks of the world and the Fed in particular. I do think the biggest risk this year is the Fed does make a policy mistake. And that would be actually having to fight inflationary pressures that may in the long run be a bit more transitory, but they're going to feel sticky. They're going to feel they have to do something about it in election year. And it just opens the door for a big policy mistake. So number one forecast this year, at least one, if not two, 10+% corrections in US large cap markets owing to the Fed unwinding liquidity and the fiscal cliff we're about to hit, where, last year you had, 5 or 6 times the amount of stimulus that you would have in 1 year, packed for, 5 or 6 years worth in 1 year. So the fiscal cliff is coming, and then the pullback from the central banks. That's going to be a big one. I think emerging markets, again, overdeveloped markets this year, make that call a second year in a row, but this time I think much better valuation there still. And Canada beats the US, owning to the value play, more energy names in particular. So energy likely surprises to the upside. One of the 2021 big surprises was the demand for coal. We understand that the future is clean energy, but the demand for coal and the underinvestment in old tech energy is likely going to lead to higher prices. So that's a big thing. Bitcoin, did you know that for an open free market like Bitcoin that solves all the problems we're ever going to have in the world, according to the Bitcoin bulls, about a third of all Bitcoin is held by 1%. So you talk about the 1% and the complaining about the top holders of equities. Listen, inequality is a big issue, and it's something I care deeply about and talked about for years and years. But there's a massive amount of inequality in Bitcoin. It democratizes nothing, and largely led by criminal organizations. So I think we're going to see a lot more regulatory movement around Bitcoin. Given that it's so concentrated and you have a tremendous amount of weak holders, I think 30,000 level breaks. It is key support on the charts and flushes it out. We might see a move down to as low as 10,000. I know I'm a heretic. I'm sure I'm going to receive some hate mail on that. But I think that is the bigger risk before it goes to 100,000. It may eventually go to 100,000. And those looking to buy may want to wait for that. When it comes to the geopolitical side of things, three big things on my mind. I think Russia does penetrate the border again in Ukraine. We will see a policy response from NATO, but it'll largely be sanctions. I doubt we're going to see hot war. I pray we don't see hot war anywhere in the world. China on the geopolitical side too, after the Olympics, is going to be much more belligerent on wanting Taiwan back into the fold, and that is going to cause some more grief. But at the same time, in the back door, China is going to be stimulating their markets. Their natural rate of growth has fallen off a cliff. They've got a lot of structural problems. They've got to keep stimulating through the back door to support their capital markets. I think that's part of what we'll see there, what they call the Chinese credit impulse. And finally, I think Iran is going to be a very bad actor this year. They're not going to come to the table. And I hope it doesn't mean anything bad, but it wouldn't surprise me if they launched a couple test missiles and that kind of thing just to wave their might in front of the Biden administration and the lack of a coherent policy on their ability to obtain nuclear energy. Let's put it that way. So those three things are on my mind, and they'll be a challenge, I think, for most of the year. So, bull and bear picks of the year the bear pick has to be Bitcoin. And I think a buying opportunity down the road for the long-term bulls, but really I think key support breaks. If liquidity has boosted it up, which it clearly did, given Fed policy, then an unwinding of that has got to wipe liquidity off the Bitcoin. It's got to wipe liquidity off the high multiple equities, the equities that are trading at infinity multiples because there's no positive earnings yet. All those stocks probably still have a very, very bad year. And on the bull side, you gotta favor low PE value names, kind of like when the tech bubble broke, value took off. Bit of steepening of the yield curve. We're not looking at a recession. I think, earnings are okay. Equities kind of grow into earnings. The multiple comes down. We're probably okay. But led by large cap tech, we see at least two really volatile periods, 10% type plus corrections. And for the year, US large caps probably flat, maybe slightly down on the year. Anyways, have a great 2022. Health, happiness, family. Make it a great year, everyone. And looking forward to a great year. Oh, can't forget this. This is the year. This is the year. Go, Leafs, go.